Thus, the night that Vice President Humphrey was to receive the Democratic Party's nomination for president was also the night of the bloodiest confrontation. Denied a permit to march to the amphitheater, they gathered in Grant Park, across the street from the now hated Hilton Hotel. The television mobile units, ordered a block away from the Hilton Hotel by Secret Service agents for security reasons, would be unable to shoot the initial provocation, which authorities later claimed started the bloody battle at Balboa and Michigan Avenue. But whatever the reason, a clash did occur, and this is what it looked like. It speaks for itself.
Situation. The poor people had a permit, and that's why they were allowed to get through. And I asked one of the poor people, and he said, "I'm just a field marshal, I don't know." But I think it must have been because we applied for a permit. Now, you may have heard the yelling before. The others all feel that if they get out into the loop section where
chants the crowd on this side. There's a break in the arrests now. The police seem to be regrouping. And now moving off down Balboa Street, and the crowd is running. And the police are chasing them into Jackson, into Grant Park. This, once again, is at the corner of Balboa and Michigan Avenue, in the heart of downtown Chicago. There is an odor of tear gas still left in the air here from tear gas shells that have been going off periodically for the last hours.
The issue was not decided until the final state cast its vote. That state was Ohio.
Ohio cast 69 votes yes, we're good, and 70 votes no.
That does it. Yep, Mayor Daley is out.
What time is that? What time is that? What's your guess?
It was close. 6 votes.
Just wait. John, keep your foot on there, please. Let's get
What happens now, David? They don't have...
Nothing happens. Those delegates from Illinois who are in the chairs stay there, and Mayor Daley and his delegates stay wherever they are around the booth.
I misread the pictures. There's the numbers there. What, you said there are 6 or 8 over what they needed?
No, I said it was close. The Singer-Jackson delegation won by about 6 votes, 14-7 to 8.
Together, what time is it? Will we overcome? What time is it? Stop Daley! Easy, easy.
Is this pretty much the way you had it?
Let's have order, please.
And with George McGovern as President of the United States, we wouldn't have to have Gestapo tactics in the streets of Chicago. With George McGovern, we wouldn't have a National Guard. Move back. Move back.
Mr. Daley is not pleased with Senator Ribicoff.
How hard it is to accept the truth.
And he looked at Mayor Daley.
Would like to know what the mayor is saying, but we can't hear it.
How hard it is to accept the truth when we know the problems facing our nation.
Pretty gutsy, Abe.
Years in political life, Vice President Humphrey has made many crucial or key speeches, but perhaps this hour is the moment of truth.
This moment is one of personal pride and gratification, yet one cannot help but reflect the deep sadness that we feel over the troubles and the violence which have erupted regrettably and tragically in the streets of this great city, and for the personal injuries which have occurred. Surely we have now learned the lesson that violence breeds counter-violence, and it cannot be condoned, whatever the source. Yes, my fellow Democrats, we have recognized, and indeed we must recognize, the end of an era and the beginning of a new day. And that new day belongs to the people, to all the people, everywhere in this land of the people, to every man, woman, and child that is a citizen of this republic. Yes, the new day is here. Across America, throughout the entire world, the forces of emancipation are at work. We hear freedom's rising chorus. Let me live my own life. Let me live in peace. Let me be free, say the people. And that cry is heard today in our slums, on our farms, and in our cities. It is heard from the old as well as from the young. It is heard in Eastern Europe, and it is heard in Vietnam. And it will be answered by us in how we face the three realities that confront this nation. The first reality is the necessity for peace in Vietnam and in the world. The second reality is the necessity for peace and justice in our cities and in our nation. And the third reality is the paramount necessity for unity in our country. Last week, we witnessed once again in Czechoslovakia the desperate attempt of tyranny to crush out the forces of liberalism by force and brutal power, to hold back change. But in Eastern Europe as elsewhere, the old era will surely end, and there as here, a new day will dawn. And to speed this day, we must go far beyond where we've been, beyond containment to communication, beyond the emphasis of differences to dialogue, beyond fear to hope. We must cross those remaining barriers of suspicion and despair. We must halt the arms race before it halts humanity.
Listening and watching tonight, and there will be at any other time throughout the campaign, any other one time. And of course the speech comes on the heels of all the events that have taken place here in Chicago throughout the week. It comes following all the bitter argument and the quarrels and fratricide which marked this convention.
The year 1972, the year of the national conventions, brought the worst of indignities to Richard Daley, rejection by his own party. It began in Chicago with the Reverend Jesse Jackson and Minority Alderman William Singer. It was a bitter fight over whose delegates were chosen according to party reform rules. Who would be seated at the Miami convention? Daley's elected slate or the Singer-Jackson challengers?
Mr. Singer, do you see any chance of compromise with Mayor Daley's delegation before the convention begins?
I don't at this point, given the posture that the mayor's delegates have taken in the Credentials Committee. They filed a minority report calling for a reversal of the decision. They discouraged a minority report which would have called for a compromise. I don't even know what kind, but they discouraged a minority report for a compromise.
I doubt very seriously that the mayor has the emotional capacity to adjust to sharing power. He has had things his way by himself for so very long. He feels now that he can buck the Credentials Committee, he can buck the courts, he can buck the convention itself because he feels that the party is just that indebted to him.
Mr. Mayor, just give us a statement.
Mr. Mayor, you fellas are all good football players.
Right. Will you be going to the convention, Mr. Mayor?
Well, we're thinking about it.
Do you have enough votes on the floor to win your seats back, sir?
I believe they have, after the truth of the matter is told.
Mr. Mayor, can you tell us about those tapes, sir?
All the matters are pending, and you can listen to them one of these days. Boys, it'll be very interesting. Then I hope you print the way what you hear.
But do you think you can win on the floor, sir?
How you doing?
Excuse me?
Where he goes. Let's have order, please.
Ohio cast 69 votes yes. We're good. And 70 votes no.
That does it. Yep. Mayor Daley is out.
What time is that? What time is that?
What happens now, David? They don't have... Nothing happens. Those delegates from Illinois who are in the chairs stay there, and Mayor Daley and his delegates stay wherever they are around the park.
I misread the pictures. The numbers there, what you said there were 6 or 8 over what they needed?
No, I said it was close. The Singer-Jackson delegation won by about 6 votes, 14-7 to 8.
What time is that? Will we overcome? What time is it? Stop Daley!
Eventually, George McGovern became the party's candidate. George McGovern, a man Daley didn't really like. George McGovern, author of the so-called reforms, which kept Daley out of his party's national convention. But the candidate came to Chicago anyway to bury the hatchet and get the blessing of Richard Daley and his machine. He got the endorsement, but those who knew the mayor knew that he didn't have his heart in it.
We had a very nice talk and a very fine lunch, and I know you would be glad to hear from the next president of the United States, Senator McGovern. Senator?
Mr. Shriver and I will be campaigning hard in Illinois, and we intend to work closely with Mayor Daley. We welcome his support, we welcome his endorsement, and we'll be campaigning for a united Democratic victory here in Illinois on November 7th.
Mr. Mayor, will the Democratic organization in this county work to turn out the vote for Senator McGovern?
It turns out the vote in every election, and it's been its tradition and history as long as I've been around here, and before that the Democratic Party of Cook County and of Chicago is for the entire ticket. We're Democrats, and we're for everyone on the ticket.
Gone too are the scathing political attacks.
And we were talking what the American people did not want to hear. We were talking about quotas in America. Who the hell wants quotas in America? We never believed in quotas and never will.
And gone is the oratory, the grand emotional speeches that could bring a tear to the eye of political supporter and foe alike.
And as long as I'm around, I'll raise my voice for the school children of Illinois, and especially for the school kids of the inner cities of our state. And we can talk all we want about law and order and crime. But if a kid hasn't got a chance, and if a kid hasn't got an opportunity for a good education and a good home, we're kidding ourselves. We're spending millions and billions of dollars for prisons. Let's try to spend something for the kids of Illinois, for an education.
When Jimmy Carter stepped off the plane in Chicago, Mayor Daley was there to meet him. And the mayor had Carter's ear for a long time after that. The two Democrats rode to the city together and met privately for at least 15 or 20 minutes in Carter's suite. Not even Carter's state campaign director attended that meeting. One event that brought Carter to Chicago was a $500 a head fundraiser. A sizable number of affluent and influential Chicago businessmen were at the reception to shake hands with the presidential candidate. All the Democratic politicians were there. Ward committeemen were told to bring their $500 check. Carter might have collected at least $150,000 for his primary campaign debt. At the reception, Carter said Senator Adlai Stevenson is qualified for vice president. But Carter said within the next week he will meet with any vice presidential contender he has under consideration, and he indicated that he might not be meeting with Senator Stevenson. Later, at a $100 a plate fundraiser for Michael Howlett, Carter said he had wondered what he should tell the press after his big Ohio primary win. So he called Mayor Daley, and Carter said Daley offered this message to the news media.
And he said, "You can tell them I'm for you. You can tell them I'm committed to you. You can tell them that you have my vote. You can tell them that I'll try to help you with the Illinois delegation." He said, "You can tell them that I'll help you get the nomination. I'll help you get elected president. I'll help you be a good president." Is that enough?
This grand show of unity brought even National Party Chairman Robert Strauss to Chicago for the show. Everyone was here but one man, the man who flew all the way to California to endorse Jimmy Carter. This was Michael Howlett's affair, so Governor Dan Walker had a prior commitment. Dick Kay, News Center 5.